You mentioned one test, that you took. What are other, like if someone is saying, hey, how do I know if I have mold, number one, of my house?
Absolutely.
And how do I test for it? What would you say?
Yes. So you can do a urine mycotoxin test if you have a practitioner that can order that for you. That's great. But that's not the end all test. Really, how you know if you have mold toxicity is, one, you have symptoms, and two, are you in an environment where there's mold? Or if you have mold illness. So tests that you can do in your home, one is called the ERMI test. And it is basically looking for mold DNA.
Can you spell that?
ERMI,
Okay.
ERMI. And then there's another test called the EMMA test, EMMA. And those are both really great. They're not looking at mold spores. They're not like they are looking at mold spores. They're not looking, it's not an air quality test where you're trying to, see how many mold spores you get over a, X amount of time. And that's hard because the concentration of mold spores is going to change, throughout the day. So if you do an air quality test, it's not necessarily going to show you if you have mold, or if you do, how much and how big of a problem it is. So some of these other tests, the ERMI, EMMA, those are good ones where it's you pick up dust particles in your home, and it will look and see, how do you have any mold DNA, and if so, how much, and how big of an issue is this in your home. So those are tests that you can do. Another cool test that I don't know if many people do anymore, I don't hear about a lot of practitioners doing it, but it's actually a test you can do at home on yourself. And I did it back in the day, but it's called the VCS test, the visual contrast sensitivity test. I think it was created by Dr. Shoemaker. He's kind of one of the gurus in the world of sick building syndrome, mold issues, so on and so forth. But it's a test that you can do on your computer at home. It's not the most accurate or the most sensitive by any means, but I think it's a great way to just kind of get an overall picture. I sometimes will have friends do it if they're telling me, they have certain symptoms. I'm like, well, why don't you do this and see what it shows you? But it basically looks to see if you can see detail at low contrast. And with that, it assesses your neurologic function. And there's a lot of things that can cause issues with that, whether it be drugs, toxins, alcohol, things like that, but also biotoxins that come from mold or Lyme disease or whatever it may be. So this test will look and tell you, hey, you probably have some type of biotoxin in your body, or you probably have some type of nutritional deficiency. Any patient I've ever treated that has had mold fails that test. Absolutely. Like with flying colors. So it's great because you can do it at home, and you can do it. And then as you are healing from mold or healing from Lyme, you can repeat it and see, okay, have I improved at all? So I think that test is great and something easy that you can do at your home right now. But otherwise, you can order an ERMI test, and we can link that here, or an EMMA test yourself and do that. The urine mycotoxin test, you're going to have a practitioner order that. But those are ways that you can even see, is mold even an issue for me? And those are kind of is mold an issue for me starter pack, I would say.